With the preview of coming attractions, Sarah Sanders joins us from the White House. She's the press secretary. Sarah, good morning to you.
Good morning.
Good morning. How are you?
Doing okay. So people are looking in. Are you hopeful that now that Nancy Pelosi has been reelected Speaker, she is ready to make a deal?
I missed the last part of that question. But
is Nancy Pelosi, now that she's been elected Speaker, willing to make a deal, do you think?
Look, that's a question you'll have to ask Speaker Pelosi, but we certainly hope so. Look, she's got a huge challenge on her hands, and this is going to be a big test of her leadership, whether or not she can bring the far left side of her party, some of the radical liberals in her party, together with some of the others that want to see real change and real solutions take place. Can she bring those people together to make a deal? We'll see. This is going to be a big moment for her moving forward, but certainly we hope so, because the president's been clear that he wants border security, not just because it's a political talking point, but because it's something that we have to have in this country to protect American people. Yesterday, the president made a phone call to two of the sheriff's deputies, as well as the widow of Officer Singh in California, and I can assure you that's something the president never wants to have to do again, and he knows that we need border security to stop that and to prevent that from happening. That's exactly why he is going to fight for it, and he's not going to back down from it.
And Sarah, in fact, Officer Singh's brother is going to be with us a little bit later on the show. If you guys could be watching, and I'm sure they appreciate that phone call. Senator Mike Lee brought up a pretty good point last night. Nancy Pelosi keeps saying putting up a wall, putting up a fence is immoral. Does that mean she's calling for the removal of the 650 miles of fence that's there right now? When did putting up a fence become immoral?
That's a great question, and I wonder if she's going to go on a crusade and take down all the fences and walls across this country. I certainly hope not. I'm sure that the people that have them around their homes, the institutions that have them, whether it's the Vatican or anywhere else, are not going to be real happy with the fact that Nancy Pelosi is calling their walls and their security immoral. It's never been immoral to protect people. In fact, it's the absolute first duty that the president and Congress have, is to protect the American people. We know that it's effective. In fact, we know that in this country, in the places that it's been put in, it's 95% effective in stopping illegal immigration from coming across this border. This isn't just about stopping people from coming across. It's about stopping terrorists from coming across. It's about stopping drugs from flowing across the border of our country. Last year alone, there were nearly 4,000 known or suspected terrorists that CBP picked up that came across our southern border. Over 20,000 adults that were arrested that had prior charges. This isn't about political talking points, that Nancy Pelosi is making this a political issue, and this is a protection issue, and she's got to get serious about protecting the people of this country.
Sarah, I think it was really important for the president to have Border Patrol agents around him yesterday when he was getting this message across, and we had Brandon Judd, National Border Patrol Council president, on saying he supports the shutdown for security.
Absolutely, and these are people, the reason that the meeting yesterday that the president had was so important and so impactful, it wasn't because this is something that people want, but this is what the people on the very front lines say that they need, and that's what we heard from them yesterday, and that was the message that we tried to communicate to leadership when they met earlier this week. However, they were very uninterested in listening and continued to interrupt the Department of Homeland Security Secretary over and over as she tried to present this information that they have put together based on what the people on the front lines, whether it's ICE or CBP, have said that they need to protect this country.
Well, let's hope more dialogue today rather than a lot of interruptions. Here is a snippet of Brandon Judd yesterday in the briefing room.
We're the ones who actually patrol the border. We're the ones who actually see what is and what is not effective, and we're telling Congress, I have no dog in this fight other than I want border security. Even though I'm not going to receive a paycheck, I 100% support this shutdown because it's that important. The American public has spoken. They want border security, and the only way that we can get border security is if we put the proper measures in place, and the wall is part of that.
That was Brandon Judd on our program just a little while ago. Sarah, let me ask you this. Two bills passed by the House of Representatives last night. One would fund most of the government through September. The other one, just the funding, very narrow, of the Department of Homeland Security. Is the president ready to veto both of them?
Look, the president's been clear that those are non-starters. We have to have border security. The fact that Nancy Pelosi put more for foreign aid, $54 billion in foreign aid in the funding bill, but refuses to help protect our own country, that's pathetic, and that's something that has to change, and the president's been very clear about that from the beginning.
Well, one thing that's got to concern the president, he's got two Republicans who seem to want to reopen the government. Senator Cory Gardner says, I think we should pass a continuing resolution to get the government back open. The Senate has done it last Congress. We should do it again today. Susan Collins, similar sentiment. Will the president reach out to those two Republicans?
I'm sure he's certainly open to talking to them. They've been great partners on a number of fronts, but the president wants border security. We can't continue to keep kicking the can down the road. There's no reason that we shouldn't be able to sit down and address this, open the government back up, and when we do, make sure that we're actually protecting the people in this country.
You know, Sarah, Democrats seem to be, instead of focusing on securing the border, they are focused on impeaching Trump. And you have a complete lack of civility coming out from certain locations in the Democratic Party. You have Representative Rashida Tlaib talking about impeaching Trump. Take a listen to what she said.
When your son looks at you and says, Mama, look, you won, bullies don't win. And I said, baby, they don't, because we're going to go in there and we're going to impeach them.
And the crowd roared.
What's your reaction to that?
Look, you're not going to impeach this president when he's had two of the most successful years that any president has had in modern history. The only reason they want to come after this president is because they know that they can't beat him. They can't beat him when it comes to a policy debate, and they're not going to beat him when it comes to 2020. They have no solutions for America. People are sick and tired of playing politics. They want them to come to Washington and actually work with the president to get something done. They want the economy to grow. They want to continue to see job creation skyrocket. They want to continue to see the judiciary remade, the defeat of ISIS. They want our borders closed and protected, and they want these individuals to actually come to help the president, not to fight him. That's not what America's looking for. That's not the goodness of our country. And I hope that some of these new faces that campaigned on being different and being a change will actually come here to work with the president, work for solutions, and actually look to help the American people, not to help their own political careers.
Right. I think we're all hopeful of that. Exit question for you, Sarah. How long is the president willing to have the government partially be shut down over the wall?
Look, the president has been clear that he wants border security, and until he gets it, we'll have to stay in a shutdown. That's not what he wants. He wants us to have a functioning government. Let's hope not. Let's hope that Democrats will get serious about doing their jobs and work with the president. He's willing to negotiate. He's made that clear. He stayed here over the holidays in order to try to do that even more so. And we're hopeful that today in this meeting at 11:30, maybe Democrats will come with a new sense of purpose and a sense of problem solving and not partisan political attacks.
All right.
Well, pretty optimistic.
That would be refreshing.
All right, Sarah Sanders.
Thank you, Sarah.
Happy New Year.
Thanks for joining us. Thanks so much for having me.
Happy
Happy New Year. Great to be back with you guys.
New Senator, Marsha Blackburn. Senator, congratulations. You won by a big margin in the end. There were some polls at one point that had your race close. You ran away with it. We're very happy. We supported your candidacy.
Thank you.
Where is the Senate on this, where a lot of the insanity in the House of Nancy Pelosi and some of these more radical members, it's not going anywhere. So where is the Senate specifically on standing up for secure borders for the country?
I think Leader McConnell has said it well. It has to, whatever comes to the Senate, has to include border funding. And the reason for that, Sean, is when you look at what the president is asking for, $5 billion, that is 1/10 of 1% of the budget. And we are required to protect the country, to provide for the common defense. And this is a part, protecting that sovereignty is a part of protecting the country. And it is absolutely outrageous that the Democrats are not coming to the table. They're refusing to negotiate. They do not want to make a deal. And I will tell you this, if I were someone with a dreamer in my family, I would be very upset with the Democrats right now, because that path to legalization that they have often said is what they want, That is something on the table, and you are hearing Nancy Pelosi say not $1, not any money, and all the president
but
is
be fair,
doing.
She offered $1. You know,
Oh, that's right.
Here's a more serious
she offered
question.
$1.
You know, we've had many people murdered by illegal immigrants, and as the sheriff on this program out in California mentioned this week, that he believes that Officer Singh, what happened to him because the person responsible for that murder was in the criminal justice system outside of being in this country illegally.
Right.
Had ICE been allowed to do their job, they would have deported this individual. At what point, when drugs pour into the country and human trafficking continues and gang members, potential terrorists, and those that commit violent crimes, when we don't stop them and you have cities and states aiding and abetting them by not turning them over to ICE, do they bear responsibility for the future actions of those criminal aliens?
Well, yes, and what you're seeing is that because we have this open border, you have every town a border town and every state a border state. And these gangs and drug traffickers, human traffickers, sex traffickers are coming to a community near you. And they're all across our country, and people know that, and law enforcement knows that. This is why you have our Border Patrol and law enforcement saying, secure that border. We need a wall. We need to have a barrier because that will help keep people from coming in. It will serve as a way to stop the traffickers. And you know, when you talk to angel moms and individuals that have lost their children or their spouses or loved ones to these illegal aliens, many of them criminal illegal aliens that should have been deported. It is heartbreaking, and Tennesseans want to see the border secured.
Well, I got to tell you, at some point, they bear some of the responsibility by not enforcing the laws. Senator, great to have you back in your new capacity.
Good to be with you.
Congratulations on a big victory. Much needed voice in the Senate.